This week on the Analog Circle podcast, we get some information about GTA 6 from one of the game's alleged voice actors. Capcom is working on another remake. Nintendo is allegedly working on several remasters of Mario games to be released on the Nintendo Switch. Marvel is allegedly cooking up 2 single-player story-driven experiences for both Xbox Series X and PlayStation 5, and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Remastered is releasing very, very soon. All of these stories and a few more can be found here in episode 121 of the Analog Circle podcast. I am your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and as I say every single week, because I truly mean it, thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Analog Circle podcast. Now, if you want to find the podcast over on various different platforms, you can find it over on SoundCloud, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, over on iTunes, as well as multiple other places. So go out there and find it and enjoy yourself. Now, I got to tell you guys, here in Maryland, Governor Hogan, he just came out and he said that we have a 8 o'clock an 8 p.m. Restriction where nobody can be outside after 8 p.m. And I tell you, I tried to run to the store to get a PlayStation card to give away. And man, let me tell you, them jokers are gone. I mean, Gone, gone. So it's been postponed until hopefully next week when maybe I'll be able to find one during the course of the rest of the week and the weekend. So my apologies for that. I truly was looking for it. Couldn't find one anywhere. So, with that being said, though, guys, without further ado, because I want to go ahead and get into my favorite part of the podcast, and that is, of course, the feedback section. Now, you, the listener out there listening right now, yes, you, yes, if you want to be a part of this section of the podcast, you can do that 2 different ways. Either you can call in at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard. Or you can email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. Now, without further ado, guys, man, I'm going to tell you, the feedback section had a lot of feedback in it this week, and I am so appreciative. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and turn the microphone over to Mr. Vaughn to get us started. Vaughn, you got the floor, my brother.
What's up, Kiaun? This is Vaughn. I know you're trying to keep the show to a certain length, so I'm just going to jump right into my question this week. And that question is, if you were the head of Nintendo, Microsoft, or Sony, what would be your attack plan going forward, being that the state of the business is what it is right now, of the state of gaming, I should say, with the coronavirus holding up production, all things being equal, let's say everybody's, gets the green light, ready to pull the trigger and start mass producing their boxes. If you were in that decision-making seat, what would be your attack plan for each company? Give me 2 things that you would do going forward for each company. All right, that's it. Can't wait to hear the show. Keep everything going like it's going. Doing a phenomenal job. And peace out to the rest of the members of the circle. This is your boy Vaughn. I'm out. Peace.
Vaughn, as always, brother, I truly truly appreciate your voicemails. They really mean so much to me. And Vaughn, I heard in your voice, brother, it sounded like you was trying to rush. You know, when you said, I know you're trying to keep the show, at less than an hour. Brother, the last thing I want you to feel like is that you have to be under the gun. I appreciate you calling in, and I'm telling you, I encourage it. Make the length of your voicemails, and to the other listeners out there, make your emails as long as you want to get your point or your question across. You guys really mean so much to me. I really appreciate you guys taking out the time to listen to me. I'm a very small podcast, and just having you guys come in, comment, and ask questions, it means so much, man. So Vaughn, I never want you to feel like you're under the gun or anything like that. And that goes for any of the listeners out there as well. This is the feedback section. It truly is my favorite part of the podcast, and it's no way I want to rush through it. So with that being said, what I will do for listeners out there who may be short on time, you just don't know, what people are going through. So what I want to do is I want to implement something that I never have before. I will make sure that from now on, that every show I will put down in the description, when the actual gaming news section of the podcast will start. That way for guys or, women that want to start right there, you can, and you might want to rewind back to the feedback section. That will be fine. So make sure that you look for that in the description from now on if you just want to get to the gaming news. So Vaughn, brother, as always, man, let's go ahead, man, because this is a good question. I want to get into your voicemail. Now, this might not be the answers to all of the, the question that you're asking. These answers that I give might not be the definitive answer, but this is what I would do if I was in the CEO. The brother put me in the CEO position, god dog it. So for me, the first thing that I would concentrate on is making sure that the online infrastructure does not falter. Make sure that joker is up and running 24/7, because a lot of people are at home and they can't go outside. So the only way that they can somewhat interact with outside of their house would be through gaming with their friends, meeting new people online, building these relationships and bonds and new friendships, and sustaining older ones online. So that would be numero uno. Make sure that the online infrastructure stays up. Now, the second thing I would concentrate on is doing my best to make sure that games release when they are supposed to. Now, we know that Final Fantasy VII Remake, Square Enix has already come out there and they have told people, look, the physical copies might not be there, but the game will be there digitally. So just like Square Enix is doing, I would make sure that I'm staying in contact with, my fan base, the customer base, the consumers that love my product, that are looking forward to the games that are going to be on my platform. I would make sure that I would let people know, look, this may be delayed, or this game isn't looking like it's going to come out at a certain time, so it may be pushed back. Just get out there, get in front of the message, and let people know exactly what's going on with these very, very highly anticipated games. Now, for the people that may have gotten a game physically, because like I said, digitally, you can always download a game most of the time, digitally now. But people that actually got the physical copies, that got the limited edition copies, I would try to also make sure that I'm looking out for them in their best interest. Maybe I would, offer, extra $10 or $25 towards another purchase of another game, or give them an extra month of Xbox Live or PSN, as well as the Nintendo online service as well. Just anything to make sure that I'm trying to compensate them. And I don't mean like the nickel and dime compensating. I mean, throw 3 months of Xbox Live or Game Pass in there for the people, or 3 months of PSN. I would make sure that I let the customer know that I understand that you are in it's a bad position. It's not your fault. it's not necessarily our fault either, but you are the customer. So I want to do whatever I can to at least help with a little bit of the frustration. Make sure that I go out there, go the extra mile, maybe give them a free game, just something to let them know that, hey, it's our apologies. Here's something just to let you know that we're not taking your business for granted. Now, the next thing that I would do, and this is very interesting because as far as the next gen production goes now, this is a bit of a touchy one, Vaughn, I gotta tell you. But if there is going to be, which it seems like it possibly could be, but if there's going to be a shortage, I would let my customer base know that, I would let them know that and give them weekly updates on where they would have a better chance of finding more stock, whether it's, at Walmart this week, at Target or at GameStop, etc., because we know that these consoles are going to be heavy in demand, and people are going to be out there trying to hunt them down. So as a CEO, I would just let the people know, open communication all day. Look, we got possibly this many rolling off of the assembly line. We're going to have this many at, Walmart or GameStop, or this amount going out, because it's no way you could ever go out there and finger point every single individual store, but you could, I'm sure, come up with a roundabout number of how many are shipping to these actual chains, these store chains. So let people know, well, it's more going to Walmart this week versus Target or GameStop, so your best bet might be going to Walmart, then Best Buy, but I would try to do it along those lines, Vaughn. That might not be the, what everybody would, agree with, but that would be my, my course of action. But Vaughn, I truly enjoyed this question though, brother. It gave me a chance to think about what Phil Spencer goes through, Shuhei Yoshida, the other guy over at Sony. Golly, his name is skipping my mind at the minute. Ryan, is his name Jim Ryan, I believe. It just, gave me just imagination, brother. So I appreciate it, Vaughn. And please, brother, like I said, please keep the questions coming and make sure you make them the length that you want to make them. It is no rush, brother. And I truly appreciate you and thank you again so much for writing in, man. Now, up next, we have, this guy right here. Like I say, man, this guy's the MVP. Without this guy, I say it every time, and I know I sound like a broken record, but I truly mean it. I was one episode away from canceling the feedback section because it was just that horrendous. So I want to shout out Mr. Cody Clark again. He wrote in this week, and the name of his email is Digital Doomsday. Oh, shucks. What does Mr. Cody have to say? He says, I wonder how long we will have to stretch until we have a unified single non-OS operation system that lets us just do whatever. It used to be the goal, but then every Tom, Harry, and Jerry decided that each content megacorp needed their own ecosystem, and we ended up in these crazy content wars. Now it's like there are 2 or 3 TV/movie giants, game development publishers, and tech/info houses. Giants like AT&T are slowly getting their Hail Hydra, quote, on and reassembling themselves. In the future, will we really need to have dedicated hardware, or will there be some tech singularity that lets us end up in a shared world? Pipe dream, I guess. Filling in the gaps while I wait for Cyberpunk to release, and I fill that time trying to chew on The Witcher 3 since it's on Game Pass. I'ma say wink, wink, yeah, brother. He says, I just feel like if we get through this super virus stuff and stabilize, we'll all end up on a subscription X or Y for hardware, A or B in software ecosystem 1 or 2. Or worse yet, both, with a 2 or 3 year commitment like a cell phone. There is so much info in so many forms coming about so much stuff that I find myself going numb and shutting parts of it down. To be honest, I think being trapped in a box watching things slowly count backwards does not help. I wanted a Star Trek utopia, but I feel like we're headed for a Mad Max kind of world instead. Shame! I got rid of all my leather jackets years ago. Cody! My brother, Cody Clark. As always, listen to me, man. I appreciate your emails. They're always very entertaining. A lot to always soak into my brain. I'm always trying to keep up, brother. Sometimes I do get left behind and I gotta re-go over it again. So Cody, just keeping me on my P's and Q's. I truly, truly appreciate that, brother. But I want to go ahead and jump into this great email. Now, I can tell you, brother, the last thing that I want is a full subscription cloud-based console. My gosh. And like you mentioned, in the future, will we have dedicated hardware? I mean, that's a really good question. Now the gaming purist in me wants to say yes. But with things like Stadia and xCloud, reality says something else, to me. And, I know Phil Spencer said that won't be the case, and Sony has said they're committed to their hardware. And, to be honest with you, that's for right now. That they're saying, look, the box is always going to be the most important thing to us. We're not going to waver from it. But, with tech continuing to move forward, we may get to the point with consoles, shucks, man, similar to E3, where the purpose the console used to serve is no longer necessary in the infrastructure that we have. I tell you, Cody, the next few years of gaming are going to be so interesting just to see if Stadia can rebound, to see how well xCloud is accepted by the masses. It's a very interesting time in the gaming culture. And I know that years and years ago, this had to be about 10, maybe 12 years ago, it was an article that was out that was saying that one day gaming will be all under one roof and we'll just have one console or one thing. It didn't even necessarily say console. It just said one service or one thing that we'll be going to. And PlayStation, Nintendo, Microsoft, those guys, they'll not necessarily not be anymore, but they'll be putting all the resources all on one box. And I tell you, that would be horrible for gaming. That's something I never want to, not get into, but that's something I never want to imagine happening to gaming, because I think that something like that, only having one infrastructure to go to, that could be crippling for gaming, because you have right now it's competition, and right now competition drives these other companies to all come out and do the best that they can because they know they have to compete. But if you put everything under one roof on one HUD or hub or whatever you want to call it, that could just be horrible. That means you can charge what you want to charge. You can make the games as expensive as you want. You can make the subscription service as high as you want. It would be horrible, in my opinion. So I'm hoping that this never happens, Cody. But like I said, we're getting a glimpse of it right now with Stadia and xCloud. I guess we'll have to see, man. But Cody, as always, brother, your emails are always fantastic. And I truly, truly appreciate them, brother. Please continue to write in. And, yeah, man, thank you so, so very, very much. Now, the next email that I have here, man, I told you, we got a lot of emails this week. It's so awesome, man. So the next email that we got is from my brother, my homeboy, man. It's my homie right here. I like this guy, man. He's great. I want to go ahead and get into Mr. Fly Ferret's email. Now, the title of his email is called Nightmare. Oh, shucks, brother. Now, he says, my brother, just wanted to say that Doom Eternal is pure adrenaline-full fun. Absolutely brutal at times, but when upon each death you have a good idea of what you did wrong and are eager to jump back in. As for the platforming, I found it to be a nice break in between the action. Free Fly Ferret. Now he says, bonus question from my 5-year-old daughter. Loves, he says, daughter, she loves to listen to your podcast. Oh, man. Now, her question is, what is your favorite gaming character of all time? Oh, man. Alice, listen, shout out to you. I want to say hello to you, and I want to thank you for listening to the podcast, Alice. That is very, very generous of you to enjoy the podcast. So, shout out to you, Free Fly Ferret, and your daughter. This is wonderful, man. It's very, very heart touching, man. Let me get into your email. Wow, that's awesome. Now, her question was, what is my favorite gaming character of all time? Well, I gotta tell you, Alice, it's just it's so many characters that I've grown up on, so many characters that I've seen, but I would have to say that if I had to choose, I can't choose one, but I can tell you that my two most favorite or memorable characters would have to be Mario and Pac-Man. Now, the reason why I say these two is because Pac-Man helped gaming spread into the mainstream where, people were making songs about it. Pac-Man fever. Good grief. It was everywhere. My father at the time, when he was living, he was just on Pac-Man so heavy. We had so many fond memories of playing Pac-Man, going to the arcade with my sister, to watch her play Pac-Man, Miss Pac-Man, and even Pac-Man Jr., to having the actual Atari 2600 and being able to play the game at home. It didn't look nearly as good as the arcade version, but it was Pac-Man. And just being around my brother, my older sister, my father, my mother, and having, these Pac-Man tournaments, as it were, seeing who can get the highest score. Pac-Man is just such a it's just such a great character to me, in my youth, and it just kind of solidifies basically where my gaming roots started from. And as far as my other character, like I said, Mario, he showed me the possibilities of what a video game could be. And to be honest with you, Alice, he actually helped. Of course he was behind, Nintendo was behind him, but his character, he helped save gaming back in the 80s because it was about to crash. Things were going absolutely bad. And Nintendo came with this iconic character, Mario, and even his brother Luigi, who doesn't get a lot of shine, but he was there, and, just seeing how this game played and jumping over, different obstacles, just platforming. This game helped birth the genre that we know as platforming today. So, those two characters, those are my two number ones. And, it's like I said, because of the reasons that I explained, but this was such a great question. It kind of, like I said, it made me go back to my childhood and, just brought up a lot of fun and great feelings with me and my family, being a kid. So, Alice, I want to truly thank you for this question that you left for me. And I want to also say thank you as well, Free Fly Ferret, for always writing in. This is very, very heart touching to me, man. And I truly appreciate it. And please don't let it be your last time writing in it. Truly means a lot, brother. Truly does. Now I want to go ahead and get into, I believe I have another email here. Looks like, yeah, I do. Now this email, this is a new person. Their name is Jun, I believe, Jun. Now the title of his email is PlayStation 5/Xbox Series X released this year. Now he says, "Sup, Corked Emperor." Now, for you guys that don't know, golly, this guy actually knows my gamer tag. This is crazy. Now, that's actually my gamer tag, Corked Emperor. If you want to find me on Xbox, that is the tag, man. Go over there, get it. I'll be happy to be friends with you. It'd be awesome. But let me continue into the brother's email. He says, "Sup, Corked Emperor. This is Jun. Just dropping by," and I hope I'm saying your name right, Jun. He says, "Just dropping by to reply to your question about will the systems be releasing this year. Yes, they will, but in a very limited quantity. So you gotta be very lucky to score one, due to them scalpers using third-party software to buy them all online in a flash. Them scalpers are making mad money right now on the Nintendo Switch due to them being sold out everywhere, my boy." He says, "My question for you is, when will you start streaming games again, man?" Oh, shucks. He says, "Last time I seen you stream was back when you streamed Cuphead, and man, you made me chuckle and chuckle and chuckle." Thank you for your time, and please keep the gaming news coming. We really appreciate what you do for us gamers. Take care. Peace." Man, John, brother, I really appreciate this email. Man, I can't believe you watched me play Cuphead. I was horrible. I was absolutely atrocious. But I appreciate you watching me, man. You know, I've streamed on YouTube quite a few times. Like I said, I got about 6 subscribers over there. It's a little more than 6, but not too much more. But I got a few subscribers over there, and I actually try to stream, but you know, it doesn't get a lot of traction, so sometimes I'll just put clips up on Twitter. But man, this means a lot. You actually got a couple of laughs. I appreciate that, John. But also getting into what you said, you know, the shortages on the consoles. Yeah, man, I truly do believe that, yeah, they will release. They will, but my goodness, the limited quantities are going to be a killer. And I had no idea. You actually put me up on some third-party software that helps you buy them all in a flash. I had no idea that was even a thing. So, like John was saying, man, we're going to have to watch out for these scalpers, that if these consoles do come out between 5 and 6, they're probably going to want 9 to 1,000 for them, and that's just going to be a big mess. So, I mean, like I was saying, as long as Microsoft and Sony, they communicate with us, let us know what's going on. You know, I think, well, I was saying that's what I would do, but hopefully that's what they will do as well, and at least give us an idea of what we can expect, you know, how much is going to be shipped out. But, John, this was awesome, man. I really appreciate that, brother. I will try to get back into streaming again. I'm glad you enjoyed the Cuphead stream, because, man, for you to be able to sit through that, brother, good grief, man. I appreciate the dedication, man. But, John, like I said, brother, thank you again. Please make sure that you write back in. It was a great point. You know, we probably are going to be in a big shortage with the upcoming consoles, and scalpers are going to have a darn field day, especially since they're going to be coming out so close to the holidays. So, John, thanks again, brother. And like I said, sound like a broken record, but don't make it your last time, man. Now, like I said, good grief, that was a full feedback section, man. I mean, just shout out to the circle, man. You guys showed up and showed out. You know, shout out to you, Free Fly Ferret, again. Shout out to you, Cody. Shout out to you, Vaughn. And once again, shout out to you, John. You guys absolutely make the show so much better, man. Now, guys, moving on into what the next section of what I've been playing. I'll be honest with you, I have not been playing anything, and I had opportunities to. I wanted to jump back in to Ori and the Will of the Wisp. I tried to go out there and get Doom. I wish I could be like Free Fly Ferret and getting that adrenaline boost going all through my veins and playing Doom. But when I went to my Best Buy, my local Best Buy out here in Maryland, it's a spot that I go to called White Marsh. And out there, I was looking, that's the closest Best Buy that I have to my house, and they had that joint completely caution taped off and said, shop online, mother lovers, you can't come in here. So I couldn't go inside and get Doom Eternal, but I'm hoping that, I don't know, sometime next week or somewhere in the future, I'll be able to get that game. But we got Final Fantasy VII Remake coming up. Resident Evil 3 Nemesis is coming. I mean, there's so many games I want to get my hands on, and I am really nervous on how I'm going to be able to do that. But in short, because I really rambled on that one. But in short, I haven't played anything this week. I've been truck driving out there, getting it the best way I can. Continuing to see a lot of traffic just not be on the roads. I went up to Massachusetts last week, and this is usually a run that'll take me about roughly 8 hours to get up there, because going through New Jersey and New York and going over to GW in New York City, it is a cluster. But guys, when I tell you, I got up there to Massachusetts in 6 hours. I could not believe it. Traffic was very, very minimal. Don't get me wrong. It was definitely people on the road, but nowhere near as clustered as it used to be. So it's true, a lot of people are staying at home. They're staying off of the roads, and I'm just continuing to try to do what I can do and get the freight, get the food to, everybody in their different cities and states, man. But anyway, that's enough of that, brother. We ain't got to talk about all that. We here for the gaming news, man. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the gaming news that went down, man. Now, let's go ahead and get started. So this first story is more speculation than fact. So keep that in mind, please. But EA is looking for a technical director to, quote, lead on the next major title in one of BioWare's most prestigious, I want to say, quote, one of BioWare's most prestigious franchises. So because of this, it has made some people like myself say, could this be the next Mass Effect? Especially since Casey Hudson, who is the general manager, said, and I quote, that IP was definitely not done. End of quote. And just to add to that, EA did say that they would be interested in making, quote, exciting remasters of fan favorites. So we went over this a few weeks ago, maybe about 2 or 3 weeks ago. They had different games that they were going to be working on, or that they were teasing that they would be working on. So once again, when I think of a prestigious franchise from EA, Mass Effect always comes to mind first. Granted, that last one, they kind of dropped the ball a little bit, but we can kind of gloss over that because the other 3 were so amazing. So maybe it's Mass Effect. Now, we also got to remember, because this just clicked in my mind, they do have Dragon's Quest. Now, I have never played a Dragon Quest game. I've never been interested in it, but I hear the franchise is great. So I don't know, between those two, I would say that Mass Effect maybe has a little more pull than Dragon's Age. So that would make me think, or at least that's just a fan in me saying that. I would hope that Mass Effect would definitely be the next game on their radar to jump back into. And plus, a lot of people were saying they didn't think that EA would get back into their franchise because it just failed so miserably. But I truly believe that if they make the game the way it's supposed to be, and Mass Effect Andromeda, it was not that bad of a game. I didn't think it was that bad. No, it wasn't quite up to the same level as the last three, but it was still not as bad as people trashed it to be. So as long as they can get back, BioWare, as long as they can get back to themselves, really take their time on this one, even though they did take their time on Andromeda, but really get in there and just whip up something great, the Mass Effect name will be solid gold again. So we'll have to wait and see what this, quote, prestigious franchise is going to be that EA is working on. Let's go ahead and move into some Epic Games news. Now, Epic Games over the years has evolved from being a game engine developer to a video game developer to a digital storefront to now a publisher. And they have now signed 3 pretty well-respected developers that include Playdead, Gen Design, and Remedy Entertainment. So I would guess that since the publishing deal will allow them to retain their intellectual properties, and I'm sure they will be able to put their games on other platforms like Xbox and PlayStation. Now, I feel like I jumped the gun there, man. Let me rewind. Just rewind. Hold on, I got a few things to say about this. Now, Playdead, if you guys aren't aware, these are the guys behind one of my favorite games. I don't know when it released. Might have been about 3 years ago now, but Inside was phenomenal. Excellent game. They also made Limbo. I didn't play Limbo. I have Limbo. Never really got into it. But Inside, that ending, oh my goodness. That ending was epic. I mean, no pun intended, because they under the epic umbrella. Oh, that was a terrible joke. But I'm telling you though, Inside was absolutely phenomenal. And these guys, I've been looking forward to Playdead's new game, and now they're with Epic. Whoo! It's gonna be something. Now we got to talk about Gen Design. Some of you guys might know about Gen Design, some of y'all might not. But these guys, for the first time, they are not working with Sony. These are the guys that were behind Shadow of the Colossus and the Last Guardian, and it was a game way before those that is skipping my mind. This was back on like the PS2 era, I believe, where he was helping the princess around and she was all white and he had on like this hat that had 2 horns on it. I'm trying to talk my way through it to try to remember the name, but it's just not coming to me. He had a stick and he used to have to beat off the ghosts or whatever the heck they were. Dang, I can't. Ico. Was it Ico? Was it Ico, y'all? It might have been Ico. But these guys have made absolutely fantastic games over the years. Don't get me wrong. The Last Guardian, I played it and I did beat it. But God, dog, with those controls so 2001. I mean, it was bad. It was so bad. But getting through the game, getting through, was Trico, think the name of the beast was Trico, just climbing up on him. Graphically, it was great. It had some, it has some technical difficulties with it, but it was still, overall, it was a good game. And the ending, man, it was just a good game. So those guys are pretty certified. Last Guardian might have been here and there, but it was still a good game. But Remedy Entertainment, oh, shucks. Now, you guys remember some time ago, people were saying that Remedy was working with PlayStation. They were supposed to be making an exclusive on the PlayStation side. Well, I guess this actually just chalks all of that up and lets you know that it is nothing exclusive coming to the PlayStation because Epic is publishing their next title. And Remedy, Max Payne is on their record. God, dog, I remember playing the first Max Payne. I remember it like it just happened. It just that bullet time, it was just so amazing, revolutionary in gaming. Something we had never seen, came out around the time of The Matrix, and just excellent. Max Payne is such an iconic character. And then what Rockstar was able to do with the character and take it to a whole nother level with Max Payne, what was that, 3? Which was so highly underrated. My gosh. And then they move into Quantum Break, which wasn't actually, no, I think I'm skipping some, no, it's another developer. But yeah, Quantum Break, that was another game, had some problems, still not a bad game. I can't really speak on Alan Wake too much because I didn't play it, but I heard it was solid. And then you have Control after Quantum Break, which was way better, according to people, so much so that it got Game of the Year last year sometime. So you have 3 very solid, developers that are working with Epic, and man, like I said, it doesn't look like, as I was looking over the information for the deal, they were saying that once a game, it sounds like a pretty darn good deal. They were saying once a game earns back its money, the profits will be split, 50-50 between the two, between Epic and whoever the developer is. They're going to make sure that all of that's split, as well as, like I said, they will probably allow them, more than likely, to put their games on Xbox, possibly, I guess, Nintendo if they can handle it, and definitely PlayStation. But where it kind of tapered off a little bit was where they were saying that they don't think that the games will be available on Steam. So for Steam players, if you want to play these 3 games that they have exclusive, I'm sure, to their platform on the PC, you'll have to go out and you'll have to pick them up under their storefront. So yeah, good grief, Epic is in there, and this is great, man. They are in there fighting Steam, and so many people were just dismissing Epic like, man, don't nobody care about them. What can Epic do to Steam? They are colossal. They are the best thing on PC. The way that you dominate is you get exclusives on your platform. And I think now, like I said, I'm not a PC guy. I don't want to sit up here and act like I know what I'm talking about, but I have to believe that since Epic has had these great, they've had some really good exclusives on their platform. Detroit Become Human, my goodness, did you guys forget they had that exclusive to their platform? I have to believe that since they've been doing this, Steam has been taking them at least a little more seriously, and so has the PC player base. But nonetheless, 3 new IPs under Epic's publishing. Man, this should be fantastic. 3 really good studios. They're solid. Now let's go ahead and move into the rumor verse of things. So as always, from this point on, take this with a mustard seed of truth. So a 4chan user claims Marvel, oh yeah, legendary Marvel, is cooking up a single-player, story-driven, wait for it, Daredevil game, which will release for Xbox Series X, PC, and PlayStation 5 in late 2021 or 2022. Now, the leaker claims they know someone at Marvel Games or has a, quote, close connection, end of quote, to the brand who revealed the company's future plans. So the alleged Daredevil game is said to be open world set in, quote, modern day Chicago, with a, quote, how do you say this? Noir, N-O-I-R. I always get that mixed up. Noir style detective game, end of quote. Now, that could be a red flag because Daredevil does live in New York, but the article was saying this could be done to distinguish him from Spider-Man. I don't know, but we'll see. Now, the map size is supposed to be, quote, 65 square miles, end of quote, which when compared to Spider-Man on PlayStation 4, it would be triple the size. Now, as far as roaming the city, according to the leaker, you will only be able to free roam at night, and most missions would take place at night. And the nighttime travel could be made easier with an, quote, echolocation mode that was said to highlight clues related to gamers' active missions. Now, as combat goes, it's being compared to Mad Max and the Batman Arkham series. So I guess it'll be a sustainable, I guess it's going to be a customizable skill tree and a big melee focus. Now, I got to say, God, dog. He also said that the leaker, golly, I'm all tied up here. But the leaker also said that Bullseye could be one of the main villains. Now, if you don't know Bullseye, he is a psychopathic maniac hitman. Now, and he does have a grudge with Daredevil. Now, this is so interesting. Now, I gotta say, I've been around gaming for quite some time, and trust me, anybody out there that knows the answer to this, please let me know. But I cannot think of one single Daredevil game. I mean, to me, Daredevil has always been like a B-tier superhero. I've never taken him seriously, man. I mean, he's impaired, his sight is impaired, and he's a very cool character. Don't get me wrong. You know, that stick, he be tearing people up with that darn pole. But I'm telling you, I've never witnessed him having his own game. So for Marvel to actually take a gamble on Daredevil, and of course, this is if this is true. This is all alleged right now. Nothing has been confirmed from Marvel, but this could be very interesting, man. I mean, I've seen Hulk games, I've seen Spider-Man, I've seen Thor, I've seen Captain America, I've seen Iron Man, but I've never seen a single player Daredevil. Very interesting. And also being able to travel at night. I believe Daredevil in the comics, I'm not very, very familiar with the character, but I believe a lot of his stuff does take place at night for the most part, where he's out fighting crime and doing things. I mean, man, for this game to be, good grief, and I know I'm jumping all over the place, but I'm just thinking about what they were saying, the city being, God dog, as big as it's going to be, 65 square miles, and, being like triple the size of Spider-Man. That's a gigantic city. And if it's going to take place in Chicago versus New York, hey, so be it. I don't mind. I mean, I'm not going to hold the game to the comic lore. I mean, and that's, to be fair, it's because I really don't know the lore of Daredevil too much. But, I mean, I would love to go into a virtual Chicago and see what's going on. But this wasn't the only game that the leaker actually talked about. Now, the leaker also said that it's a Wolverine game that's in early development, and it's a more linear experience and not open world, and will be similar to how players progress through God of War 2018. And this game's release won't be for at least another 2 to 3 years. Now, I gotta say, Wolverine, oh shucks, this is where I really get excited. Don't get me wrong, Daredevil, hey man, you're cool with me. I just don't know a lot about your backstory. But Wolverine, now he had a single player game many years ago. I don't know if you guys remember, but the Wolverine game, I mean, he was slicing and dicing dudes up. I mean, it was a M-rated game, and it was solid. It was, I implore you, look, you might not be able to play it today, but go on YouTube and look up some of the gameplay of that game. I mean, Wolverine was getting it in. So if they are going to come out with another Wolverine game, oh man, sign me the heck up. And if it's going to be like God of War, whoo, man, a deep story, fantastic graphics, phenomenal gameplay. Oh my gosh, we have been waiting for a real Wolverine game. Could you imagine? I mean, look, I mean, it's so many different developers that could take this on. I mean, of course, when the article mentioned God of War 2018, I thought Sony Santa Monica right off the top. Then I start thinking about Naughty Dog. I'm like, man. Then, you know, I even thought about the Coalition. I think they could pull it off. I don't think the Coalition gets enough credit. Gears 5 was a solid game. But it's just, I mean, I don't know who they would shop that over to. I don't know who would take it on. I don't shoot, man. Shucks, golly, what's the studio behind the Arkham series? Golly, it begins with an R. Can't Rocksteady. Let them take it. Oh my goodness. I mean, it's so many different places they could shop it around to. And really, I mean, that and Daredevil, not just Wolverine, you know, but we'll have to see. This was so interesting to read. I tell you, I know that Marvel has been out there. They've been trying to get more people on board to make games. I'm hoping that this will include, once again, Microsoft. Phil Spencer, if you are listening to the podcast, brother, please get Hulk. Get him. I would love to see another Hulk game. I mean, Ultimate Destruction was fantastic. And I mean, imagine they get Hulk. I mean, he's green. Xbox's colors are green. Imagine if they brought out a custom console, a custom Hulk console. And you know that Microsoft makes some of the best custom consoles out there. It would be huge. I mean, that's me dreaming and hoping and doggone, what do they call it? Wishing and praying, God dog it on a prayer. I know I said that all wrong. I'm trying to think of the song, but y'all know what I'm saying. But man, anyway, that was the end of this one. That would be phenomenal, man. God darn it. Let's go ahead. Yeah, we're going to be way over an hour today, guys. Golly. You know what, man? Forget it. You know, caution to the wind. From now on, brother, I'm not putting the time limit on it. I said an hour. Man, we ain't been at an hour in so many episodes. Man, take the governor off. It's off, brother. We gonna just rock until all of the news is done and everything is over with, man. Shucks, let's just keep on rocking with it. Thank y'all for still being here with us, brother. I appreciate it. Now, let's talk about Hangar 13. Now, so according to a job listing, the developer is looking for an executive producer to, quote, lead the development of a key new IP franchise at Hangar 13, end of quote. Also, in the description of the job, it was mentioned that having experience in building AAA, excuse me, open world or sandbox games will be an advantage. So this could mean that, similar to Mafia 3, this new project could be open world. Also, according to Take-Two Interactive official details, the studio's next game will be dropped in the coming, no, that was wrong. Official details of the studio's next game will be dropped in the coming months. So like I said, like I alluded to, I didn't allude to it, I said it, Hangar 13, these are the guys behind Mafia 3. And I played Mafia 3 and I beat Mafia 3, and darn, the game had technical difficulties. It wasn't the most graphically impressive game. The gameplay was decent, it was fair, pretty good, but the thing that hooked me from the jump was the story. And my goodness, you are hard pressed. I ain't gonna say hard pressed, but it's pretty hard to find a better, not a better story, but let's just say, golly, because I'm unraveling everything I just did. The story was solid. I think you would be very impressed, put it that way, if you would have played through the game and see the story all the way through. It was just fantastic. The time period, it was pretty accurate. Walking around, the guy, he was African American. They calling him the racial words and slurs and whatnot because he's going into certain places, walking in certain neighborhoods. The police get called. I mean, good grief, they had the KKK in the game, brother. I mean, it was such a fantastic game, and it really took you back to that time period. So I'm saying all of this to say that Hangar 13, they have so much potential that in their next game, I think it will be far better than their first going, I should say, with Mafia 3. Because correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that was Hangar 13's first game. And good grief, just the cutscenes, the voice acting. I mean, good gosh, man, this game was so good. The story, like I said, it was such a great story that it got me through what would be considered a pretty mediocre game, by most people. But man, Hangar 13, I really look forward to hearing these next details. Like the article said, the details of this will be coming up in the next coming months, hopefully around E3 time. And I know E3 isn't technically E3 this year, but June, such a hard habit to break. But hopefully we'll see something around that time frame. Man, I'm looking forward to this. Now, moving on into some quick news, my friend Pedro will release on PlayStation 4 on April 2nd. And the game will include the extra, quote, code yellow, end of quote, content. Now, I believe I paid $19.99 for my friend Pedro on the Switch, and God dog, this game was well worth the $20. Now, if you have Xbox Game Pass right now, it's over there. You can play it. For anybody that has Game Pass and has not played it, you are doing yourself a disservice, sir or ma'am. If you are a Max Payne fan, gotta take it back to Max Payne. If you are a fan of that type of game, the slow motion kills and just buttery smooth gameplay, even the graphics, this game was made by one individual, one person. It took him like 5 years, and I believe I've talked about him before. Dead Toast, I believe, is the name of his studio. He's actually under Devolver Digital, who actually published the game. I mean, just fantastic. Good gosh. I mean, man, come on, man. $20, please, on April 2nd, go out there and support it. I was trying so hard to get the daggone PlayStation card for this reason. I was trying to get it, and like I said, they just sold out. Next week, hopefully, I'll be able to get it. But man, pick this up. I do not think anybody out there who's into side scrollers, it's not even really mainly a side scroller. Yes, it is, but it's just so much fun. And the physics in the game are like, what? What? One guy made physics like this. I mean, you shoot somebody, boom, 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 in slow motion, and you see their body literally ragdoll off of the cliff. It is absolutely great. I'm not going to rave about it too much more, but PlayStation 4 owners out there, my friend Pedro, pick it up. That's all I'm going to say. Now, let's go ahead. Dog, I'm sweating. Oh, man, I'm sweating. Let me wipe my brow. Now, let's talk about some Nintendo news. Now, so this is according to a British gaming website called Video Game Chronicles. They were saying to celebrate Mario's 35th anniversary. God dang, Mario is 35 years old. Good grief, he's 6 years younger than me. 35th anniversary, Nintendo will be releasing remasters of Super Mario 64, Super Mario Sunshine, and Super Mario Galaxy on the Nintendo Switch. Now, Nintendo will also be releasing several other Mario titles in 2020, including a brand new installment in the Paper Mario series and a deluxe version of 2013 Super Mario 3D World. This right here, man, this would be awesome. Like I said, for years, I had not been a Nintendo fan. I did not like the direction of the GameCube. I'll even take it back to the N64. The one thing I loved about the N64 was the rumble technology. Nintendo, they never fail to innovate. But outside of that, I was like, man, this is not the move. And then they came out with the GameCube. Wasn't a big fan. I did have Beautiful Joe. Shout out to Jeremy again for selling me his GameCube with Beautiful Joe. I would have never even knew about that game. But then they just had fail after fail. I mean, the Wii technically wasn't a failure, but I'm like, man, Nintendo, y'all being real whack right now. But with the Switch, like I said, man, they just got it all the way together. So for that, I am such a man. I just rock with Nintendo, and anything they do that is a great move, I want to truly show the doggone, give them the respect for it. And a game like Mario 64 or Super Mario 64 being remastered in I guess basically today's graphics, man, oh man, I can only imagine what that's gonna be like. And then Super Mario Galaxy, I can't talk about it. Don't really know about it. But I did hear that Super Mario 3D World, that was actually really dope. So with them actually coming out with all of these remasters, once again to celebrate Mario's 35th anniversary, this is going to be phenomenal, especially for Mario fans. And I do want to also bring this point up too. Now, it was also said that there was supposed to be a 35th Mario anniversary at E3, but because it was canceled, they are seeking other measures on how they're going to deal with that show. So we could be seeing around E3, or I should say alleged E3 time, that maybe they'll have a show dedicated to Mario turning 35 years old. That means I was six years old playing Super Mario Brothers. And I mean, good grief, just, man, great childhood memories, brother. Thank God I never had a bad childhood, only great memories, and Mario was definitely a huge part of that. So, shout out to Nintendo for doing this, and I look forward to seeing, these different remasters actually in person or on the screen and picking them up. It's going to be fantastic. Now, let's go ahead, though, and let's move into some more gaming news. So as usual, there is more GTA 6 news. But this time, it seems a little more believable. So this comes from International Business Times, where it has been reported that that renowned Mexican actor George Conce, I hope I say this brother's name right, George Concedo, may have just leaked, and pardon me if I didn't say that right, god darn it, but reading is fundamental, people. But he may have just leaked one of the upcoming game's characters by reportedly listing a role in GTA 6 in his resume. Now, Mr. Consejo, maybe that's his name, I hope I'm saying it right, brothers. Mr. Consejo apparently noted that he would be playing a character named, and I quote, the Mexican, end of quote, in the upcoming GTA installment. But one key thing that he mentioned was he'd been working on the project since 2018. So that shows that the game has been in the works for almost 2 years. So after word got out about this, he said, the gentleman, Mr. George, he took to Twitter and said, and I quote, "Dear friends, while I read every message from you, please know that because of contract stipulations, sometimes I'm unable to comment on certain projects. Please don't feel ignored or unseen. I appreciate and value every single one of you." End of quote. So with that being said, and my gosh, I hope I didn't butcher the brother's name, but I feel like in my heart that I did. But according to him, 2 years he's been working on this project. And we know that, good grief, in Red Dead Redemption, 2 years, man. 2 years may as well be a month, because I think that game took, 10 years to come out? But we do see, I'm saying a lot of buts lately, but god darn it. Let me get my thoughts together. Give me a second, man. It looks like, according to his actual statement, he never denied actually working on this title. He simply said that, let me find it. He said, because of contract stipulations, sometimes I'm unable to comment on certain projects. So right there, in my mind, he is saying, he's not denying it, but he's saying in so many words, look, yeah, I could be working on this, but there's no way I can tell you guys about it. And once again, just going off of his resume, him having GTA 6 down on it, it definitely shows that this gentleman is at work or playing some kind of part in the game. And his character being called, quote, Mexican, I'm going to tell you, man, when I heard that, I said, oh, shucks, hold on. Now, you guys remember, and it clicked in my mind just right now. You guys remember months ago, we were talking about this. We were talking about the new GTA 6 being like Narcos, and talking about the cartel and, all of this stuff, kind of like, golly, I can't think of the guy's name, what Narcos was based off of. Can't remember the darn guy's name, but it made me think, good grief. Could it? And it's such a small hint, and my mind just goes in so many different directions when things like this happen, so my imagination could be way out there, but it made me wonder, good grief, could that leak, maybe not all of it, but some of it, have been true, going down to Florida, going back up to New York, and all of the states in between, and all of the different drug deals, and having the buildings change from one time period to another, where some would be knocked down, it would be new infrastructures in place for other buildings as the years went on. I was just going through that whole article in my mind, not verbatim, but just thinking, good grief, could it be true? Could even a third of the stuff be true? Could it be? Having a plane actually flying over and dropping stuff off and all kind of doggone illegal paraphernalia. Man, it could be absolutely amazing. That's where my mind went. But let me take it back to reality. The game has only been worked on 2 years. His character is, quote, the Mexican. And outside of him not denying playing his part in a possible, in possibly GTA 6, we know nothing else for sure. So, we'll have to wait and just, sit back and just see what the heck happens. It would be great to see a trailer. We knew that Rockstar or Take-Two was supposed to be at E3 this year. That got canceled. I doubt if they were going to show a trailer, but that's just wishful thinking. We shall see, though. We'll see, man. Good grief. But, yeah, man, that's about it for this one. Let's go ahead and move on to the next story. GTA 6. God dang, where are you? Now, let's go ahead, man. Now, in Xbox Live news, 2 things. Now, the first thing is that because of the high volume of players on Xbox Live, it's brought challenges to the company's moderators, who are the ones who ensure, of course, that the platform isn't being abused by users. So, as a result, quote, they said, we've temporarily turned off the ability to upload custom gamer pics, club pics, and club backgrounds. Now, the second thing that you should be aware of is the company warned that refund processing has also been hit with the possibility of delays up to 72 hours. So, I guess this is to be expected. I'm sure Xbox Live is under a lot of pressure right now, so hopefully they can, they're just doing everything they can to make sure that they can keep the lights on that mother lover. So they're doing whatever they can. They're cutting corners here and there. And like I said, if you have a refund, just be patient, 72 hours. Up to, and hopefully they'll be getting you your money back. But let's go ahead and let's just for total speculation, okay? This is definitely, absolutely not fact. This is all still in the fiction kind of realm. But let's just jump into some PlayStation 5 news. Now, 2 price listings have come out about the PlayStation 5. Now, the first one comes from Denmark, from local retailer Fotex, who lists the console. Now, this is astronomical. God dog it. You want to put me in a cardiac arrest? Chase me Christmas. This price tag is $1,043 and has the release date. They even have a release date out there in Denmark. God dog, y'all out here doing it, man. They got December 1st for the release date. Now, they aren't the only ones. Now, the second listing came from Canada. Now, their store is Play and Trade, and they had the PlayStation 5 at Canadian dollars, $559.99, which comes out to, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe in U.S. currency that would be around $398, somewhere around in there. So my guess is, even though Denmark, god dang, y'all tripping. Now, I don't know. Maybe they just filthy rich out there in Denmark. I don't know. I ain't never been out there. But, comparing it to Denmark and Canada, man, Canada, I'm rocking with y'all, brother. God dang. Having it at $559.99, AKA meaning US dollars, roughly about $400, somewhere around there. That would be absolutely amazing. But once again, I do want to stress, these are just prices that they put out there. Like I said, these could be absolutely placeholders. I wouldn't take it too seriously, but I will say if that Canada price is real, turns out to be real, and it's roughly about $400 US. Woo! Sony, you might have a dub on your hands. You might have a win. You just might have a W in the column, because $400, man, I tell you, I can't shake the feeling that the Xbox Series X is going to be $600 as much as I want it to be. $400 would be a doggone absolute dream. But I'm willing to go to 5. I'm willing to go to 6, but man, it would be great if it was 5. But inside, I say no way. A 2080 performance, was it 2080 Ti performance? Man, that's just not going to be cheap. So I would love for it to be 5, but 600, man, buckle up, brothers, buckle up. But it would be a heck of an advantage if Sony could come out possibly $200 cheaper. Oh, man, it might be a bloodbath. Despite the power of the Series X, it's going to be rough. It's going to be tough. People were tripping off of $100. Can you imagine? And this is all stipulation. This is make-believe at the moment. This is not fact. We're just doing what-if scenarios right here. If this is the case, my gosh, it would be a uphill battle. But I would have to believe that if the PlayStation 4 is that price, then Xbox will be about $500, which is still going to be an uphill battle. I don't know if I'll repeat that again. I just don't know. Because even though, yes, roles are a little different coming into this next upcoming generation, because the problem with the Xbox One was they were given that Kinect camera in the box, and it was a weaker console, and it cost more. Versus the PlayStation 4, they just gave you the console, and it was more powerful, and it was solely selling you on games and not TV and apps and all of this other stuff. Now, coming into this next generation, we know that Xbox is going to be the clear winner when it comes to power. But they gotta show the games. That is their kryptonite right now, and they gotta get that under control. So it's gonna be so interesting to see where these price points fall and what the marketing looks like. So far, Microsoft has been flawless on their marketing. They have done an unbelievable job, and all they have left, the last puzzle piece that they have left, is to show the games. Man, now let's go ahead and move into some quick news. Man, it's like the old days back when I was podcasting, man, in the early days, trying to make podcasts 2 hours purposely. I ain't even doing it purposely right now. But let's go ahead. Quick news, though. Now, after 18 years, official Xbox magazine has shut down, man. Now, the parent company Future, they actually blamed the closure on the overall decline in video game retail sales. This magazine, God, dog, this is a tough one right here for me. Now, granted, I haven't gotten a Xbox, an official Xbox magazine in years. I'm not gonna sit up here and act like I'm boo-hooing and oh gosh, no, it was my favorite. I ain't saying all of that, but it was a great magazine for its time. I truly loved it because, you got the demo discs in there and, reading the different articles. I still have quite a few of them downstairs in one of my magazine bins with, I don't know how many magazines I got in there, hundreds, I would say. But it's sad to see them go. But I don't know if I would blame it on the decline of video games, in retail stores. It's one of those things like we were talking about with Cody Clark, like he was talking about the consoles and how we were talking about, how I was comparing it to E3. it's not viable for the infrastructure anymore. Now you can get demos from the comfort of your couch or your gaming chair. You don't have to go out and get the magazines. And as far as, what the magazines will cover, they will never be up to date because the internet exists and we're getting gaming news every couple of minutes. It's just impossible for a magazine to keep up with what the internet is able to give us. I mean, it's an information haven, that the magazines will just never be able to replicate. So I think that more so had to do with the decline of the official Xbox magazine shutting down. But it is sad, though. But let's go ahead and move into some Capcom. Man, I got to ask myself, how many stories did I write down here, man? Oh, man, I don't know. Okay, let's go ahead, though. In Capcom news, man, according to a new set of rumors doing the rounds today, they're just going around, making their rounds, all of these different rumors. Now, this comes from a, quote, reliable source, is saying that Capcom has yet another remake in development right now and is targeting a 2022 release. Also, just to narrow the possible games being worked on, industry insider Asiatic Gamer, who has a pretty positive track record, said, quote, it's not a remake of Resident Evil Code Veronica. Now, on Twitter, he also said a new Resident Evil game will release in 2021, and it is not a remake. So, I mean, Capcom just has a plethora of IPs, man. I mean, let's just go through a few of them. They got Marvel vs. Capcom, Mega Man, Dead Rising, Strider from back in the day, back on the Genesis, and they even did a remake of that a couple of years ago on Xbox Live. They got Ghosts and Goblins, Final Fight, which is one of my all-time favorites, Street Fighter 2 or Street Fighter in general. They got, let me see, what else? They got Omnimushu, Dino Crisis, and they even got Okami. It's just so many different games that they could go to. But for me, I would say just trying to narrow it down. Dead Rising, I don't think they would do that so much. A remake of that. I don't think that's something that's really on their radar. Like I said just a second ago, Strider got a remake on the 360, I believe. It might have even been this generation. I'm not sure. But that already had its time in the sun. Marvel vs. Capcom, I can't see them remaking that. I mean, Marvel vs. Capcom, what was it? The last one didn't really set the charts on fire, so I can't see them going back to that. Final Fight, they even did that back on the 360 era where they upgraded the visuals, which I have that game. It was fantastic. Dino Crisis, we know they're not working on that. And even Okami, They had a remastered on this generation of consoles. So I can't see him doing that. But I alluded to my answer just a couple of stories back on the GameCube. The one game that I see that they have truly not touched in quite a long stint would have to be Beautiful Joe. I'm just really stapling it down to Beautiful Joe. The only time we've seen him is in the Marvel vs. Capcom games. I haven't seen him have his own game out in the sun. I haven't seen him get any remasters, no remakes. And I think that he might be the one. It's possible. I mean, they've done a Resident Evil 2 remake. Resident Evil 3 remake. This guy said Code Veronica is not happening. Like I said just a second ago, Dino Crisis got canceled. Beautiful Joe would be dope. If you have not played Beautiful Joe, I don't even think it's possible to play it now unless you want to hook up a GameCube or a PlayStation 2. But Beautiful Joe was such a marvelous game, man. He was such a cool character. He had a cool little story. The gameplay was great. His power-up moves were awesome. I am hoping that is the game. If we can't get a Dino Crisis remake, I want to see Beautiful Joe. I would love to see that happen. And, hopefully 2022 is allegedly when it's releasing, or one of these games are releasing. It would be awesome. I would also say, though, that we haven't seen Ghosts and Goblins either. That has been on a major hiatus as well. Haven't seen that out there. And, man, let me tell you, Ghosts and Goblins was the daggone original. Doggone, what's the game? Bloodborne and all of them hard doggone games people love beating their control up over. Doggone ghouls and ghosts, Ghosts and Goblins, freaking hard as heck, man. You get like 2 shots. That's it. You lose, you get hit, your armor flies off, and then you just got some trousers on running around, and then you get hit again. It is game over. That game was severely hard. I never beat it. Never beat it. I don't even know if I would play it today if it was remastered. You had to give me like 6-7 hits for me to go ahead and try for it, man, or continuous, an astronomical amount of continues to get through the game with a rewind button. Then maybe I'd take you up on it. But anyway, I feel like I harped on this story a little too long. Let's go ahead and get into the final story this week. Now, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 Remastered will be available tomorrow on March 31st. Now, I do want to stress that this is only for the campaign. There is no multiplayer. Now, the game will include improved textures, animations, physical rendering, HDR lighting, and more. Now, the confirmation of this came from a COD, Call of Duty, fan who spotted artwork for the rework over the weekend in the code upcoming updates to Call of Duty Modern Warfare. Now, I think the price point will be around, I believe, $30 or $35, somewhere around there. But the game is coming out, according to this guy, tomorrow. So get ready to download it and enjoy yourself. Call of Duty Modern Warfare, one of the most famous scenes of that game, man, I believe, was when you had the opportunity. I think you could opt out of it, but you had to shoot the civilians. Oh, man, it was rough. It was rough. God, dog. Man, very controversial for the time. But anyway, guys, that is the end of the gaming news this week. God, dog. It always feels so good talking to y'all, man. It's like we all in the same room together. It's great, man. Shout out to the circle. Yes, sir. Now, I want to go ahead and get into the final section of the podcast. And man, this might ruffle a couple of feathers. And trust me, it is not to ruffle anybody's feathers. It is truly me asking a question. Now, I know you saw it, and I gotta repeat it again. Did Sony lie about their console specs? Now, the thing that got me to thinking about this is Mark Cerny said quite a few things in code, and he wasn't very clear. He was saying you don't have to use ray tracing. He talked about overclocking and, various things, man. So I actually got this idea from IGN. IGN had brought up a pretty good question about this. And I just don't want to shout out IGN. Boom. The guy Boom, who has a podcast, the Xbox Factor podcast, he actually brought this up as well. And he had numbers and all kinds of facts. And I'm like, wow, did Sony really lie to us? So what I want to do is just to give this a little more context for you guys that may think that I'm clickbaiting or whatever. I'm sure you guys, hopefully you guys don't think that about me, but some people might be new to the show. I want to go ahead and play the clip from Ryan McCaffrey over on Unlocked, where he talked a little bit more about this. So here we go.
And yeah, I had a software developer reach out to me and really offered what I thought was an interesting perspective from someone who does that, who thinks about that stuff for a living. I just wanted to kind of read you this person's perspective on it, just to kind of maybe give a little more clarity to the just how powerful the Series X is, and even relative to the PS5. I mean, I don't want to get into the console war thing. I know that's just inevitable, but just the fact that Microsoft has delivered an extremely capable piece of hardware here, and then get your guys' take on it. So this person said to me, quote, "The in-house tools, which are Unix-based for Sony, versus Microsoft with DirectX 12 will dictate how efficient their use of the hardware is." I think he's referencing Sony here. With that said, Mark Cerny pulled a quick one on the general public, this person's opinion, with the way he delivered the Sony PS5 specs. First off, we have no clue what the sustained numbers of the GPU and CPU are. However, judging by the leak that did nail the Series X numbers, they are significantly lower. With that said, one of the things you and most general users skip over is how the CU count is a huge drawback on all modern executions, such as ray tracing, variable rate shading, VFFR, etc., meaning the CU cores are tied to the ray tracing cores. So with that said, the PS5 has 40% or so fewer CUs. That was one of the things we did talk about, where the clock rate's higher on the PS5 CUs, but there are fewer of them overall. Now, to Microsoft's biggest advantage is that their speed numbers are locked and are not boost numbers, which with software updates they might be able to push, as there's always headroom. So I thought that was just sort of a well-stated way of taking another look at the CPU and GPU of the Series X versus the PS5.
I mean, there you have Ryan McCaffrey talking about, what's his name? The architect, I'm trying to think of his name, Mark Cerny, talking about overclock numbers, boost numbers, and those numbers actually not being the actual real numbers that the console has. We're talking about it being overclocked, to that number. So with that being said, guys, I mean, I'm not here to make up your mind. I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what you guys think. Did Sony, did they lie about their specs? You can definitely be a part of the conversation 2 different ways. Like I always say, you can call in at 443-216-9934 and let your voice be heard, goddaggit. Or you can email the show, and the email address is theanalogcirclepodcast@gmail.com. Before we get out of here, shout out to you, Mike J. My man, Mike J. He sent me an article, right? Talking about Dragon's Lair could be getting a movie. Dragon's Lair, like I say, it's the OG of QTE, baby. It is, man. So shout out to you, Mike J. Always sending me cool articles, man, to go over and listen to. Not listen to, but read. Sorry about that. Read them. But anyway, man, I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell, and like I said, man, I hope you guys don't think I'm clickbaiting. It's right there. Ryan McCaffrey, he got in contact, a developer got in contact with him. So, tell me what you guys think, man. I was your host, Kiaun Mitchell, but before we get out of here, always remember, it is not about the consoles. It is about the games, and Sony has a lot of them. So with that being said, until next week when we do it again, you guys take care. Be safe out there. Bye-bye.